It was a warm afternoon in Riverside Estates, the kind of peaceful, quiet neighborhood where people waved at each other and kids rode their bikes without worry. Marshall Hudson had just finished a long morning meeting and decided to relax at the community pool behind his house. He lived here for 6 months now, a successful man, quiet, respectful, and yes, a black homeowner in one of the city's wealthiest neighborhoods. As Marshall stepped into the cool blue water, the sun glared down, reflecting off the surface like glass. For the first time all week, he felt calm, until he heard a voice, sharp, angry, and full of command. "Get your black ass out of the pool before I make you regret it!" The words cut through the air like a knife. Everyone turned. Standing at the gate were 2 police officers. One of them, Officer Trevor Walsh, tall and intimidating, had his hand on his belt. Marshall blinked, confused. "Excuse me?" he said, still waist-deep in the pool. "You heard me," Walsh barked. "Out now." Marshall stepped out slowly, the water dripping down his arms. He wasn't doing anything wrong. This was his community, his home, his pool, but that didn't matter. The officer grabbed his arm roughly, twisting it behind his back before Marshall could even speak. "What are you doing?" Marshall asked, trying to stay calm. "You're trespassing," Walsh snapped. Someone called about a suspicious person at the pool. Marshall looked around. The someone was standing nearby, Barbara Caldwell, the Homeowners Association president. A woman in a white tennis outfit with a phone clutched like a weapon. "He doesn't live here," she said coldly. "I've never seen him before." Marshall stared at her, disbelief washing over him. "Barbara, we've been at 3 meetings together. I sit right behind you." Her face turned red. "That's not true." The officer dumped Marshall's leather bag on the ground, scattering his belongings: wallet, phone, and keys. The other officer, younger and unsure, hesitated. "Sir, maybe we should check his ID first." "I'll handle it," Walsh said, stepping on Marshall's driver's license with his boot. Marshall stayed calm, even as anger bubbled inside. "That's my ID," he said quietly. "You're making a mistake." But Walsh didn't care. "Hands behind your back." The cold handcuffs clicked tightly around Marshall's wrists. He didn't resist, didn't fight. Years of experience had taught him that sometimes silence speaks louder than anger. "Am I under arrest?" he asked. "Trespassing." "Disorderly conduct," Walsh said. Marshall looked at the camera phones around him. A woman had started recording. He made eye contact and nodded slightly, a silent plea. Keep filming. He was calm, but inside his mind was racing. He could end this right now. One move, one word, and everything would stop. But he didn't, because this wasn't just about him. As they pushed him toward the police car, Marshall spoke again. "You're arresting the wrong man." "We'll see about that," Walsh smirked. They shoved him into the back seat. His head hit the metal edge of the door. Pain shot through him, but he didn't show it. At the station, officers stared as Walsh bragged, "Caught this guy trespassing in a rich neighborhood." Marshall stood there, barefoot, dripping water onto the cold floor. The sergeant on duty looked at the address on his ID and frowned. "Wait, this says 42 Lakewood Drive. That's Riverside Estates." "Yeah," Walsh said quickly. "Fake ID." The sergeant's eyes narrowed. "You sure about that?" Marshall didn't speak. He asked for one phone call. The moment he got the receiver, his voice changed. Calm, cold, professional. "This is Special Agent Marshall Hudson," he said quietly. "I'm at Riverside County Precinct. False arrest. Officer Walsh initiated." There was silence on the other end. Then a woman's voice, firm, commanding. "Do not reveal your identity. I'm on my way." Marshall hung up. The room felt heavier. Walsh sneered. "Who'd you call, your lawyer?" Marshall smiled faintly. "Something like that." He was placed in a holding cell with 4 other men. One of them recognized him. "Hey, you're that tech guy from Riverside, right?" Marshall nodded. "Man, they really arrested you for what? Swimming while black?" Marshall chuckled softly. Something like that. He leaned back against the cold wall, eyes closed, mind focused. He'd spent 8 months investigating corruption in this department, undercover. And now they had handed him the final piece he needed. In less than 30 minutes, everyone in this building would learn who they'd actually arrested, and it would change everything. As footsteps echoed down the hallway, Marshall looked up. The door opened, and the sergeant called out, "Officer Walsh, Captain wants you. Now." Walsh frowned, confused. He stood up, glancing once at Marshall. "Who are you?" he asked. Marshall just smiled. "You'll find out soon."